the Grave Robber guide. Let's do a build for a Grave Robber. First of all, what is the Grave Robber? Grave Robber can be played at any position. She is both melee, ranged, and self-sustain. She comes in 3 different forms: NIGHTSWORN, DEADEYE, and Venomdrop. The best way to play the Grave Robber is with teammates that can actually switch positions, like Jester, Runaway, the Highwayman, and of course, Man-at-Arms. Pick to the face. First basic attack, melee basic attack. For a Grave Robber, there's nothing to say here. There's deals flat damage, good chance to crit. Target needs to be on combo. Pick to the face is valid on a Deadeye and Venomdrop subclass for the Grave Robber. Throw Dagger. A ranged basic attack for the Grave Robber. It does exactly the same as pick to the face, only it can target also the last position for the enemy lines. If it says Deadeye and Venomdrop instead of a NIGHTSWORN here, that's when you should use Thrown Dagger. Flashing Daggers covers 2 spots in enemy lines, number 2 and 3 at the same time. Solid crit chance, low damage, can be played on a Deadeye and on Venomdrop. Especially good on Venomdrop subclass for the Grave Robber. Poison Dart can hit every position in enemy lines, deals Blight damage over time, has a solid crit chance. If it says Venomdrop or Deadeye instead of a NIGHTSWORN, that's when you should use Poison Darts. Absinthe, valid on all 3 subclasses for the Grave Robber: Deadeye, NIGHTSWORN, and Venomdrop. What it does, it self-heals, it gives dodge, it gives speed. Extremely good self-sustain skill from the Grave Robber. Talking about self-sustain, Dead of Night, also extremely good one, only this one clears corpses and gives her stealth. Once upgraded, it can also remove stress damage. It's valid on Deadeye, NIGHTSWORN, and Venomdrop equally. Glint in the Dark. This is execution spell for Grave Robber, so you can kill enemies when they're on death's door. I would say that it's only valid if it says Deadeye instead of a NIGHTSWORN and nothing else. Lunge, extremely good skill, high, mega high crit chance, especially when you're stealthed. This is a bread and butter skill for the NIGHTSWORN subclass for the Grave Robber, one of the best skills in the game. It also moves her 2 steps forward. Pirouette, same what I said for Lunge, only this moves her 3 steps backwards. It gives her dodge, it dazes her, but it has solid damage and it can only be played on a NIGHTSWORN subclass. Repartee. This is if you would love to tank with a Grave Robber. It's worked on a Deadeye, it's worked on Venomdrop, and it should be played also on NIGHTSWORN, but it's a tricky spell that consumes an entire round for taunt. Basically what it does, she dodge, okay, once upgraded 3 times you can dodge and 2 times taunt. You can save like a full round for your teammates while they're hitting and missing the Grave Robber. Shadow Fade. If she gets out of the position, all Deadeye, NIGHTSWORN, and Venomdrop subclasses can profit out of Shadow Fade. It moves her back 2 spots and it gives her speed for the next round as well as stealth, so enemies cannot target the Grave Robber. So how do we play the NIGHTSWORN subclass for the Grave Robber? You can open up from position number 1 with Shadow Fade. It's gonna put her 2 steps back and she's gonna become stealthed. Once stealthed, you're gonna use Lunge, that's gonna deal amazing amount of damage, that's gonna transfer her back to the first spot. Of course, you're gonna need teammates that can target from all positions too when you decide to play as a NIGHTSWORN. Once you use that Lunge and you move on spot number 1 again, on the 3rd round you're gonna use Pirouette. Alright, that's gonna deal damage and put her 3 steps back and gives her dodge. Okay, so she switches positions 1, 3, 1, 4. And after that you can decide to clear a corpse or to go with Absinthe, full speed, so you can play faster in round 4. If it says Deadeye instead of a NIGHTSWORN here, this is the build that you want to play. You can play her from position 3 and position 4, your choice, and it depends on your team. What you do as a Deadeye, you just throw daggers at enemies, whether it's basic dagger for a high crit chance, double dagger for AoE damage, or poison dart for damage over time. That's basically what you do if it says Deadeye instead of a NIGHTSWORN. Once you're in a problem, she's got a lot of self-sustain, Dead of a Night to clear a corpse and heal. Later on it also gives stress heal. or Absinthe to give her dodge and speed. If you decide to play like this, with Absinthe, for example, you can remove Dead of a Night if you have Occultist or Leper to clear corpses, and you can add a Repartee. So once you go with Absinthe, 3 times dodge, okay? And then you can also taunt enemies with 3 times dodge, which means that you gonna waste an entire turn for enemies to hit the Grave Robber on spot number 4, where they're gonna mess, and you're still gonna deal a lot of damage in the meantime. Your teammates are free to ransack enemies. Deadeye is quite good for the beginners, I would say, so make sure to play a lot of Deadeye before you master the other subclasses for the Grave Robber. Now, if it says Venomdrop instead of a NIGHTSWORN here, this is the build that you wanna play. You open up from position number 1, you're gonna use Shadow Fade. She's gonna move to position number 3. Once she's stealthed, that's when you're gonna use Poison Darts or Flashing Daggers, because those two will now deal a lot of plague damage over time. And that's everything there is to know about Venomdrop. A lot of Blight damage, and that's about it. For self-sustained skills, you can use Absinthe and you can use Dead of Night. Now, if you don't like playing as a Venomdrop because she's the trickiest to play with, because her range skills deals minus 50% damage, basically she's based on damage over time, and the best combo with this damage over time is to have a Plague Doctor too that can stack up to that Blight damage. Okay, so you got 2 characters that gonna deal Blight damage. On her own, she doesn't deal as much, but with a combo, Plague Doctor and her, Venomdrop, Grave Robber, okay, and Plague Doctor with its own plague damage, those two can stack up a lot of damage over time, and that's how you play Venomdrop. Are hero shrines important for the Grave Robber? Yes, they are. They're extremely important. There is no playing without hero shrines. All 3 subclasses require different spells, as you've seen, and you should aim for these hero shrines as fast as you can. Now, how do we play Grave Robber? As I said, she can be ranged, she can be melee, or she can move positions or deal Blight damage. In this case, this is a NIGHTSWORN. We're gonna open up with Self, Back, Stealth. From position number 1, of course. Now she's ready for Lunge and Pirouette. Have in mind, she's usually gonna play first, because this character has the highest base speed in the game. No matter the subclass, Grave Robber is very fast, and she's in 99% of cases gonna play first. So now we got Stealth. It's time to use Lunge and one-shot enemies. Once you use Lunge, now it's time to use Pirouette. Now, what are the good trinkets for the Grave Robber? If you plan to play with a NIGHTSWORN, where she relies on stealth as well as Venomdrop, Covered Cloak is great, but flame needs to be under 40, and this is for night runs. She can be extremely OP during night runs when the torch is low. This is one of the best trinkets to grab once you decide to play like that. Covered Cloak. Silent Treatment, extremely good if you have Dark Impulse equipped. Why? Again, you can start around stealthed, which you usually will, and you're gonna deal 50% more crit. Extremely good on a NIGHTSWORN and Venomdrop. Stiff Drink, the first unique trinket for the Grave Robber. This is a tricky trinket, and you really need to know the Grave Robber well. Why? Because now it converts stealth to crit. There's an 80% chance for that to happen. So when you open up from spot number 1, go 2 back and have stealth, on the next round she can convert it to crit. And then you need to switch some of the skills for the pick to the face that's gonna deal 50% more damage, and it's gonna crit 100%, and that's the most damage output on the Grave Robber. It's worth on NIGHTSWORN and on Venomdrop also, but again, you're gonna need to switch skills. Completely not worth it on a Deadeye, because Deadeye is ranged. Basically, Stiff Drink changes how you play all 3 subclasses of Rogue, both Deadeye, NIGHTSWORN and Venomdrop. Absolutely crazy one to have on all 3 subclasses of Grave Robber is Clarifying Carcanet. but it's a tricky one to get, so you can have relics and bubbles above 75. Kitchen knives are absolutely great on a Deadeye and Venomdrop because you have more chance to crit when they're blighted, okay, when they're poisoned. And if you have a Plague Doctor in your team and you got kitchen knives equipped on a Grave Robber, your Blight darts are gonna hurt even more. This one is valid on a Deadeye and on Venomdrop. Nautical Compass, this is great on every character, including the Grave Robber, no matter the subclass, it's just a great trinket. Curing Koopa, absolutely amazing trinket on a Venomdrop and Deadeye. Now Swappy Swig is absolutely amazing on a Grave Robber. I already said her base speed is 7, all you need to do is have one simple trinket for speed or give her some Respite boost for speed and you're gonna crit non-freaking stop with a Grave Robber if you have Snappy Swig equipped. Celebrated Chalice, absolutely amazing on a Grave Robber, it gives her speed and she is a speed based character as well as 10% chance crit if relics and bubbles are above 50. His rings, another unique trinket for the Grave Robber, valid, extremely valid on Venomdrop and Deadeye. Why? Reason is very simple, you deal even more blight damage. Smoldering Hymnal ain't that bad on all 3 subclasses for the Grave Robber because it gives her flat damage. Galvanizing Goblet, extremely good on a Venomdrop and Deadeye. And Lightning Element, if you want your Grave Robber, Venomdrop and Deadeye to deal fire damage and blight damage combined, this is the way to go. She's very fast, so she's usually gonna get dodge too if speed is above 8, and it is on a Grave Robber. This is extremely good trinket on her. Both fire, blight damage and dodge easily. Now Fisherman's Line is absolutely great on every class if you have Fisherman's Net or a Scrap Grenade equipped. If, for example, you combine this thing that's gonna deal fire damage and she deals blight damage and you equip Scrap Grenade also, when you have Fisherman's Line, she's gonna deal burn, blight, and bleed at the same time when she hits. That's extremely OP. Damage over time goes on around 2 or 3, above 20 or 30. But you need to be very lucky to have those trinkets equipped on a Grave Robber. But that's the most damage over time output in the game, if you can mix all of those combined. Greater Gilded Mind is absolutely great on every character, including the Grave Robber, because of the stress resist. Greater Sacrificial Host, Greater Anchoring Charm, all of those are great, including Greater Hail Drought and Greater Cleansing Sensor on a Grave Robber. Basically defensive trinkets, okay? Now, Greater Bouncer's Belt, she's got 2 self-sustained skills, okay? And she can profit with healing received out of Greater's Bouncer's Belt. If there is nothing else to equip, of course. Greater Sharpness Charm, absolutely amazing trinket on a Grave Robber, no matter the subclass. Deadeye, Nightsworn, Venomdrop, she is a damage dealer after all. Greater Heartseeker, again great on all 3 subclasses for the Grave Robber, gives 10% chance to crit, absolutely amazing. Now, Seaman's Boots. When you play as a Nightsworn, where you're gonna move with Lunge and Pirouette, these are absolutely amazing because she's gonna get dodge non-freaking stop. Greater Wolf's Blood, great on a Grave Robber if there is nothing else to equip, okay? Other teammates can profit more with speed because her base speed is already high enough. But it's good on a Grave Robber, of course. Hastening History as well as Adrenalizing Ash are all good on a Grave Robber. Clandestine Cape, extremely good on a Grave Robber because you want to open up stealthed. Pairing Patriarch, also very good on a Grave Robber. It turns dodge to dodge plus from 50% chance enemies to miss to 75% chance. Now what about basic trinkets on a Grave Robber? You can sacrifice health for damage and for crit, of course. Trinkets that can give stealth are also very good. Trinkets that give speed on a Grave Robber are also extremely good. Basically, she doesn't need resist that much because she's got good self-sustain, but she does need damage, she does need crit, she needs stealth, and she needs speed. That's about the basic trinkets. In items and respite for a Grave Robber. Aside from, of course, taking relationships, in items to boost those relations. The best ones that you can equip are all that gonna boost up her damage. Crit, flat damage, and so on. Speed, of course. And absolutely the best one on her would be stealth. Anywhere where it says chance to start stealthed is what you need to apply on a grave robber. Again, she deals more damage when stealthed. She's also quite squishy, so it's a good thing that enemies won't be able to target the grave robber on the round 1 opening round. Mastery trainer for the grave robber. If you find that pick to the face trinket, that's when you should consider upgrading pick to the face, and it's valid on Nightsworn and Venomdrop, but only in case of that trinket that I showed that's gonna boost 50% damage to the pick to the face. If you play as Venomdrop, your first upgrade, of course, should be poison darts, and after that it should be flashing daggers, then some self-sustain from Dead of a Night or Absinthe. If you play as a Nightsworn, then of course a Lunge should be your first upgrade, because this is a Lunge grave robber. After Lunge you upgrade Pirouette, and then it's self-sustaining spells, as well as Shadow Fade that can give speed later on. If you play as a Deadeye, you're gonna upgrade Throw Daggers and Flashing Daggers at the start. Of course, on a map 2, you can also consider upgrading Poison Darts, and you're gonna finish up with her self-sustain skills. That's it about the grave robber. What else can I say? It's not a user-friendly class to play. She moves a lot. She's very specific, and yes, she deals a lot of damage. During your playthrough, you need to know all skills well for the grave robber, because some trinkets can change her build entirely. Even when she has a good subclass, some trinkets are changing the way that you're gonna play grave robber, and you're gonna be switching those skills non-stop during the run from map 1 to the final map. Alright, I would advise playing with someone else until you learn how to play the game, and then try to master the grave robber, because she's really tricky and really squishy. Again, she can dodge a lot, she can taunt, she goes to stealth, she can crit like crazy, she goes as melee, she goes as range, she can be played as damage over time. Extremely unique class. Party doesn't benefit out of her, she doesn't have any AoE buffs for the team, she's a self-sustained character, and that's about it. I thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.